I thought I would have less to say about this movie than I do.
What'd you think of the movie?
I thought it was complicated. Not the movie itself, but rather my feelings towards it. It complicates me. Because on one hand, Rings, by the way, on one hand, the beginning of the movie was a piece of shit. However, once the second half begins, you get you get this feeling that there is a hidden backstory to this movie.
I guess. Yeah, kind of. Really? No, I just...
Like,
I get where you're going. But...
Yeah, but I find that shit fascinating on a filmmaking kind of...
Yeah, but the key word in that sentence is shit.
I find that fascinating in a filmmaking sense. And I guess I could find that sense of enjoyment, but purely on an intellectual level, purely on a wondering, like, what was this movie going to be before somebody decided that this should be a Ring sequel?
I understand.
But it's not I guess it's not to the movie's favor, but... Alright, going into this movie, neither one of us saw the Ring.
No, I never saw the Ring. Everybody knows about the Ring, what it is, and we've seen clips of it, but...
Yeah.
Neither of us have seen the Ring, but I don't think that would have made much of a difference, though. It really wouldn't.
Not really.
I really can't think that it would.
No, because it kind of cleaned up pretty much. It tried to take care of like what the premise of the movie is about in the first scene alone, which is by far the worst scene, the worst/best scene of the movie because it kind of reaches like so bad it's good territory. It's on a plane. The guy looks over to the woman in the eyes. I'm worried. I saw a video because some chick at a party told me to watch this video. So me, in 2012, went out to a pawn shop and tried to find myself a VCR. Tracked down a VCR in 2014, when it had to be 2014.
Please tell me more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, had to track a VCR in 2014 to watch a VHS tape on the behest of a girl he met at a party.
Wow, really? That's really interesting. And by the way, your nose is bleeding, which I'm sure has nothing to do with what you just said.
It's like, runs into the airport lavatory. The whole shit starts going sideways.
And then as soon as he does that, a girl sits down in his seat next to her. Is like, what did he tell you? It wouldn't have perchance been about the film.
Like of all the flights this guy has gone on, he just happens to be on the same flight with somebody who apparently knows about the Ring, and knows about the tape.
We don't figure out what the hell happened to put these people.
Yeah, but we thought it was like a Final Destination kind of. I thought it was like a Final Destination nod or something, because the plane goes down, guy dies, but I think that. I'd have to watch that movie again because there are so many actresses that look alike.
But it doesn't make any sense because the way you die is personal horror.
Yeah.
It is personal affliction that she looks at you and you apparently go
and then you keel over. But not this guy. This guy drags a whole plane down with him because
but it wasn't the pilot who died. But it was just a dude in the passenger's side. It was just a passenger, and how would him in the seat going make the whole plane crash?
Well, they made the whole plane crash because apparently in order for Samara to get through to him, she had to go through the airplane module, which caused the whole plane to crash. Because they told us very succinctly that that miracle of miracles. This guy's VCR winds up in the hands of the guy from The Big Bang Theory, the curly brown-haired guy who goes out with Kaylee Cuoco.
Wait. How did she cause the plane to crash exactly?
Because she went through the airport terminal and caused the plane to lose control because the pilots didn't have any instruments.
Oh, you mean the Ring girl?
Yeah. Because they said the plane crashed. We never see the plane.
Well, yeah, they said the plane crashed, but how did it crash? Because nobody else ever sees the girl unless it's the person who's being afflicted, really, basically, pretty much.
Well,
or if you're the special and you have visions.
If you're the special and have visions, which sets up later in the movie, but apparently not, because the instruments went haywire and the pilots crashed. I guess that's how it goes. But apparently, the woman who asked...
So wait, was it the Bermuda Ring?
Search me. Like, the beginning is... The beginning is the very definition of patchwork filmmaking. But what really confuses me is the woman next to the other woman who asked about the guy's story. Mm-hmm. Is she the same is she Sky, the woman who tried to get the main girl to watch the video? Because they look eerily similar.
I don't think she was the same person. I don't think so.
Not the same person, but they look so similar.
Yeah, a little bit maybe. Different hair at least for sure.
But like I would have to watch that movie again because either way, like no matter how you slice it, it's a stupid fucking scene. And what's more, this VCR just happens to get into the hands of like this VCR winds up in a little side-by pawn shop that the guy from The Big Bang Theory happens across, brings it home where I think one of his students is, because, you know, she asked him, like, oh man, this is ancient, isn't it? It's like, no, I prefer vintage. And then he tries to get the VCR to work. It works, and he sees the tape because he's an idiot, and he says, watch me on the VHS tape.
Where's this guy, by the way? This guy, because I have a lot of stuff to sell to him.
I mean, if he's willing to buy off old VCRs, then
I got a lot of stuff that I need to sell this guy. Not necessarily stuff that I own yet.
Well, considering how the movie ended, I think you've missed your window.
I know, and I probably would have ended up seeing the video somehow.
God.
I mean, it's so hard to resist.
You know, it's just like the One Ring. Anyway. Of course, he watches it, and then between the space of time between this guy watching the tape and when the plot actually starts, he somehow figures out that in order to remove the curse from you, you have to copy the movie, you copy the video and show it to somebody else. I don't know how the fuck he figured that out, or even if how...
Well, you know, he has this entire test, like, floor of, what was it, the school?
Yeah, like there was
Yeah.
some like he managed to build this secret super science wing that you need a special key to operate on a special elevator.
This guy is the king of jumping to conclusions.
Yeah, like
He sees this movie and not like 2 days in, he's got this entire floor of his school rigged out with fucking how many people? He's got like dozens of people on the case, students and otherwise.
yeah.
And looking at multiple like screens and stuff, trying to like. I thought that this movie could have very easily gone to like the government, you know, or we're using it for war.
Although that term would have been so stupid, it would have been kind of worth it.
I know.
I mean, that would have been a Resident Evil term.
That would have been good bad.
That'd be good bad,
Yeah.
but no, it goes into this weird territory where this guy is trying to prove the existence of a soul through the existence of Samara being able to reach through a television screen after she takes 7 days to kill you. But my question becomes, okay, so in the span of him watching that video, immediately thinking that he's going to die, because here's the thing, when she gets a phone call that says 7 days, it's not like he's going to hear, like, I'm going to kill you in 7 days.
He just hears 7 days.
He just hears 7
It's
days.
like, I was a really big fan. Hey, he's a 90s guy, right? He likes vintage. He was probably a big fan of the 7 Days show. Remember that show?
No, I don't.
I can't remember the name of the guy, the actor, but there's this show about a guy who would be able to go back in time for only 7 days. He can, yeah.
Well, that's news to me.
Yeah, and the whole show is just him going back in time for 7 days. And, well, anyway, he was probably just a big fan. He was like, yeah, it's a good show. What about it?
It's like 7 days. Well, okay, whatever. Click. And then he would have been dead on his toilet. You know, Elvis style. You know, if that... But no, because he's somehow the most credulous nitwit possible, yet somehow right about being credulous, he immediately divines that he... Like, oh, God, I'm going to die. I better copy this video and show it to somebody else to remove this curse. That's the only sane thing I can think of. I mean, that had to have happened in order for this movie to make sense. I don't know how he came to that conclusion, but by golly, he hit the nail on the head. I mean, 1 in a million odds on that on that leap of faith. So, okay, so he has this network of people constantly chaining together copies of the video and sending it to somebody else. And then somehow this boyfriend gets involved, and which leaves the girlfriend, the main heroine of the story, to like, I gotta find my boyfriend, and she winds up watching the tape. But then the movie gets weird.
Then the movie gets weird.
Yeah,
yes.
like the movie gets weird, where all of a sudden it stops being about the tapes and the It stops being about the watching videos and everything, and it starts being about the Samara's backstory. Now, like we said, we didn't see the Ring 1 or 2, so I'm guessing they didn't go into detail of Samara's backstory. They might have in the original Japanese film.
And this is where the film really loses me.
This is where the movie interests me.
I'm so glad we could have a division like this.
Yeah,
But the beginning, I thought it was shit to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like just stupid enough to keep my attention. But at that point, it just for me became like any other fucking horror film. Of I'm a person who sees visions from a ghost, and now I have to right the wrong, and I have to do the thing.
Essentially, yeah, but the thing that holds it all together to me is the actual technical filmmaking, because it's actually kind of refreshing to see a horror movie being directed and shot and scored like a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, if you compare this to the last horror movie we saw, Resident Evil is not a horror movie.
Well, I mean, this movie had... maybe that's the problem, is that
Like,
you came out of Resident Evil 7.
It could very well be that the stank of Resident Evil 7 is... It might be 6. I don't know. Who can keep count of all those fucking films? But regardless, it could be that the stank of that film is affecting, like, this is beautiful by comparison. But no, like, this is actually quality filmmaking from a technical
I
perspective.
will give you that much.
Yeah, like-
there's a good soundtrack. There's some good cinematography. There's...
It was shot wonderfully. It had, like... And this was the first film I've seen since probably The Girl on the Train that had this, like I said, this wonderful color palette of grays and blues.
fuck, I should have known. You always fall for the grays and blues filtering.
I'm a sucker for
I should
it.
have known. That's what this is.
I'm a sucker for it. I enjoy the music composition, the very drab color palette, and it speaks to me, like, personally. Like, I appreciate that aesthetic. I will fully admit that that's, confirmation bias, and I'm just steamrolling over, the movie because of that. But at the same time,
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I like it too. Not as much as you probably, for sure, but...
yeah, but like not those aren't little things. Don't get me wrong, but things like that can help me appreciate a film more than just bland filmmaking and just like jump cuts and like sudden stings and trying to jump scare the audience. And even though there's a few jump scares in this movie,
Not a single one got me.
which I don't think is supposed to be the point. Like, this movie tried to have a creepy, dreadful atmosphere, and to a degree, it when it's quiet and somebody. And like when the main heroine is in the bottom of the church looking at Samara's mother's basement because Vincent D'Onofrio. Oh yes, Vincent D'Onofrio is in this movie. D'Onofrio, sorry.
It's okay.
Vincent D'Onofrio is what used to play a priest that kidnapped Samara's mother, raped her, and had a child with her, and that's Samara's backstory. Now she's like a child of rape, and now she has to.
Yeah.
And now she's evil incarnate. Okay, what does that have to do with being on VHS tapes and killing people in 7
That was
days?
Vincent D'Onofrio, so that was okay. Anytime that one... I don't know what it was, but for some reason, whenever that character came on, the movie got a little better.
Yeah.
I don't know. It must have been something to do with the person playing the character.
But, like D'Onofrio is, one of those heavyweight actors, along with a very, very few where his very presence can make the movie better. Teflon actors where the shit doesn't stick to him.
Yeah, I always put this shout out for him. If you haven't seen 13th Floor, see the 13th Floor. He's awesome in it. I still say it's his best performance.
Did you see Daredevil?
Yeah.
All of Daredevil?
I haven't gotten to season 2. I barely started it. I think.
I didn't like season 2. Mainly because they've tried to cram way too much of it.
Okay, so I did see the best of it then.
You saw the first season, and that's the best of it.
And oh yeah, believe me, it gives a run for its money. But I still have to go 13th Floor because it's a very unique performance that he delivers in that. Well, shit, this was 2. What am I saying?
But, yeah.
Also, it's like the only movie where I've ever seen where he was skinny.
And 13th Floor, not Rings.
13th Floor. I mean, it's weird because he goes from like Full Metal Jacket where he's big, and then he goes to 13th Floor where he's skinny, and then he goes back to being big again. It never happens.
Yeah.
It's like, how? What the hell? It just, I think it speaks to what he did for the character.
Yeah, like he's one of the most. Him and Timothy Olyphant are the most chameleon-like actors. Not because they can get into a role, but because they seem to change appearances with every role. You asked me to identify who Timothy Olyphant is, and I can't tell you because he looks different in every.
Yeah,
fucking
another
movie.
guy I appreciate. But
But in Rings, but going back to Rings, it felt like once the second half starts and we're dealing with Samara's backstory, it feels like this was a movie unto itself at some point. That some Hollywood executive saw this and was like, we could make a Ring movie out of this. And then they just tore the script in half, threw the first half into the goddamn furnace, and then patched in this bullshit Rings.
I want to see this
Ring
movie
sequel.
without the ring attached to it.
Yeah, that's the most interesting thing about this movie. Is like, what was this movie originally supposed to be? Do you
Yeah,
think?
and with more Vincent in it.
Yeah, because it feels like Vincent's part was entirely hatcheted.
Yeah. Like, can you... Do you think that they would have had the cast, or various members of the cast who would have been a part of this movie, would they have had to put in new lines when they incorporated the ring scenario? Or how far do you think that idea go, or that...
Like, I think that once they immediately set up the first half, like all this Ring bullshit, they realized that like they did like a find replace
Okay.
with like
last second changes to your script when you're doing this.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be surprised.
Yeah.
Surprised to find out that this was originally written as is. Considering that the screenplay had 3 different writers on it, methinks that there was one. The first guy wrote the first draft, had nothing to do with the Ring. Second guy wrote another draft of a potential Ring sequel that we never got to see,
That's so weird.
and then and then the third person combined the two.
I mean, that's really weird. Like, yeah, that's like deja vu all over again, reminding me of like reading the Hobbit and finding out they had to do edits for the Ring or something like that. Because he had like different plans for Lord of the Rings, and they did editing to the Hobbit or something to fill certain parts in. I don't know how true that is, but that's something I heard.
Considering how long those movies were, and considering how
Oh no, I mean the book.
oh, the book.
Like apparently when he decided to make Lord of the Rings,
Tolkien.
When Tolkien, well obviously Tolkien,
Yeah.
but when he decided to make Lord of the Rings, that apparently he had to go back and have tiny bits of the Hobbit edited to fit it in because he didn't know when he was doing the Hobbit it would be that where it was going to go.
I couldn't tell you for sure about
I don't
that.
know. I'm sorry. It's just Ring editing. I don't know. You
Yeah.
mentioned it at the beginning.
Yeah, like it's a game of connect the dots, as it were. Like
Yeah.
Ring, edit. There's another franchise with the Ring in it, and it's the One Ring. And apparently, according to this movie title, there is no one ring. There are many.
Yeah.
Hence, Rings.
Yeah, but Ring is never good. Rings are bad.
So knowing what this movie might have been, like in my current headspace, I'm trying to figure out like, okay, at the end of the day, it's just another revenge ghost story, which, all right, shake a stick, you're gonna find, you're gonna find,
Unfinished business.
You're always gonna find something, a story like that. Even like the original Japanese Ring, I think was a revenge ghost story of some kind, or either that or I'm thinking of The Grudge. Either way, like they're one and the same, they're one and the same. But what I'm wondering now is how good would have the original been? Because I think Vincent D'Onofrio's character would have been
Carry the whole thing.
yeah, he would have, more of him would have certainly been nice. And
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was the only person who acted in this movie.
The main character in this is just sleepwalking,
Pretty much everyone in this movie was sleepwalking. Everyone was sleepwalking.
especially her.
Especially her love interest. Like, who gives a crap about everyone else? At the end of the day, who gives a crap about Samara? Apparently, her backstory has nothing to do with the fact that she hides out in VHS tapes and video files and kills people.
Yeah.
Like, there's no logical connection to it. I'm not asking for there to be a logical connection, but it just feels like if you're gonna go out of your way to give us her backstory, then having it have nothing to do at all with being on camera or being in, or like, I don't know what it could
It's
have.
like, well, how did that transference happen?
Yeah,
Like, why did she choose VHS as a media to?
Yeah, or like TVs at all. Like what, she was killed by a falling television set, or like
Seriously,
like somebody bashed her in the head with a video camera.
there's usually a connection to spirits in these things.
Yeah.
It's just randomly choose these things. It's personal.
I mean, it's a grudge movie. It's like I was wronged in my life and I'm going to set vengeance out on everyone because I am an angry spirit. But how will I take my form? Do I haunt a house? No, that's pretty too stationary. Do I somehow magically do I magic my way into VHS tapes?
Come through a mirror, maybe? There's still mirrors. That's a thing now.
Maybe.
It's universal. It works at all times.
I don't know. Like ever since she found out that you can hack a mirror, maybe she bowed out of that.
That's a good point. Thanks, Madia.
I love how that movie scarred you so much that you refuse to say her name properly. Medea.
Ah! I'm melting! You know, honestly, with this movie, what I was really hoping they'd do is add some camp into it. Maybe just turn it into a Army of Darkness or Evil Dead 2 kind of camp. I mean, there would be a huge middle finger to like the original masterpiece of the Japanese version, but
masterpiece. Again, we can't say for sure because neither of us have seen it, but
that's what I've always.
Yeah,
but why didn't they have like, you know, I was hoping like maybe the little phone would have her trying to get out and it was too small,
and so she just had to like
eyeball.
Stay right there. I'm almost out.
As he calls it, the Arthas cannon. I think we've explained that once before a long time ago. But
and if we haven't, then that's going to be a mystery for another day.
Or the hand, she gets only her hand access to. It's like dragging it across the floor, or maybe a giant like drive-through theater, or she comes out. She's a giant because it's a big screen.
Actually, now that I brought it up, I actually do have to wonder like how much of the Japanese remains in the original script, because I know that like there was a plot point about like Vincent D'Onofrio doing what he did because he heard the cicadas cry, and that's a very Japanese thing. Like I'm not too familiar with the origin, but I do know that it has to be some kind of folklore because that violent shit crazy anime Higurashi no Koroni. Remember AMV Hell 4 about that clip where some chick stabbed herself?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
I never saw it. I know.
Yeah, but she stabbed herself with a knife like that. But that's from an anime called Higurashi no Koroni, which means when the cicadas cry.
Ooh.
So
I need to see that. Apparently.
Yeah. It's. I won't go into the plot of it, but like hearing that and hearing several times in anime about when you hear the cicadas chirping, it means something like around the case of death.
Yeah.
Or some kind of curse. I'm figuring. I'm not pretending that I know 100% of that, but I do know that cicadas chirping is very much a Japanese horror thing. Yeah. And to hear that in this movie, I think they kind of put that in there without really knowing the significance of that, because Vincent D'Onofrio just says it out like, I tied her up because she was going to kill Samara. I needed to have a baby because the cicadas were chirping, which. Maybe it has something to do with madness. I don't know.
Crazy can have any reason.
Yeah, I suppose. But that seemed like a very, very oddly specific and very oddly Japanese thing to really center in on. But the thing about cicadas is that it's summer. Like, cicadas chirp during summer. Mm-hmm. But this movie was set during clearly either late autumn or winter, considering it was raining and it was cold and gray all throughout that movie. So maybe that could have been played up a little bit more. It's like, what, cicadas? They're not supposed to chirp during this time of year. And considering like all the like early in the movie, they had some neat ideas about horror, like seeing rain fall upwards, and like seeing like those very surreal imagery to make you feel uneasy. That's where the movie, I felt like that's where the director really knew what to do to create a sort of atmosphere.
Yeah.
But the plot is just balls stupid. Especially the beginning. And that's what's frustrating with this movie. Like, the guy behind the camera deserved a better script.
Yeah.
He really did. Like, and that's where, that's why I can't really come down hard on this movie like you are. Because
I'm not coming down on it that hard.
Well,
I could do much better.
I know you could. I know you could do much worse.
Or rather worse, I should say.
I know you could do worse, but when like on the walk up here and you said like, I'd rather watch Resident Evil than this movie. I think that's a little hard.
You shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that.
I shouldn't have said that. But like, do you recant or do you back up or?
No, I don't want. Well, I think we brought it up because it was inevitable, but
Yeah.
the truth is, I'd rather not have to judge either of these movies together.
Yeah, they're two
I don't want to have to say anything was better than Resident Evil 7. But, Resident Evil 7 didn't bother me nearly as much as it did you or Amy. So, no, I enjoyed Resident Evil maybe fractionally more than this because, as stupid as shit and tripe as it was, at least, it kept my attention barely. Where there were points in this where it was so slow and boring that I just... Well, there were a lot of people that left the theater, actually.
Oh, yeah.
But I could have fallen asleep at certain points, and the jump scares wouldn't have done anything to wake me up. But like they might have in Resident Evil.
Yeah, but
I mean, at least the soundtrack in Resident Evil would be like, just wake up.
I know, but then again, car horns could do the exact same thing. But you wouldn't want to sit through 2 hours of car horns.
That wasn't as bad as a car horn.
Not by much. I don't know, like the difference
Mila
between...
Jovovich was in it, so that does a lot for me. So I was just biased.
So, I guess the difference between these two movies, and we're only comparing them because we've seen them back to back, is that one is the scripts are both stupid in different ways, but they're both stupid. But one is in the hands of an actual filmmaker who wants to try to do the best with the material he's given. The other is just interested about showing off his hot wife. That's the main difference between these movies.
True, but it feels like there could have been so... Okay, are we saying that, like, at the point of the script, there's not a lot of... there's not much more you can't...
Like, the script is the script. The story is the story. You can't... and the worst part about this movie is easily the script and the story.
It is so bad. It is so dumb.
It is bad,
It's so
dumb,
bad.
and it's not entertaining at all. But I think in the hands of a lesser director, this would have been truly, truly awful. But those touches where the director was able to muscle in some actual filmmaking.
It feels like it was a waste of that guy's time. It feels like this should just gone to shit where it belonged. Like that guy should have been doing something else.
Entirely.
Everybody who was on that creative side of it should have been. Doing, I wish they could have been doing something else.
That is an interesting question to bring up. What is better, working hard to polish a turd, and it still is a turd, but you know it's been polished?
Yeah.
Or just letting a turd be a turd?
Flush the turd down the toilet. Go do something that's not a turd. Go.
Well, maybe I've never heard of this director before.
Fold laundry or something.
Like, I've never heard of this director before. It could very well be that he took this project because it was the first major Hollywood project he could get. And you don't exactly get in Hollywood by saying no.
If this was like his first project, then this was pretty good on his side of it.
Yeah, like if
pretty damn good.
If this is like his second or third film, and this is like his first with actual Hollywood money behind it, then I can see the good in it.
But then I don't try to really understand the machinations that go behind these things. I mean, we don't really know exactly. What happened.
We don't. We're working with a very limited deck in that regard. But
so just looking at it from an audience point of view,
from an audience point of view,
I didn't really like it. I really didn't.
Like, I have to come down on your side as well, but not for the same reasons. It's just I could see the merit in this movie. I really can, and I don't want effort to go unappreciated.
Sure.
Because too many times we've seen movies where people didn't care. They just didn't fucking care. Point the camera at whatever's happening, have the actors just breeze through it. Let's move on. Let's collect our paychecks.
There was effort made on facets of this film.
Mm-hmm. Wherever the director could, he tried his goddamnedest.
And yeah, whoever was responsible for the good parts of the film, which were not the script,
which was not the script,
or the acting,
except for
D'Onofrio.
Except for D'Onofrio.
So setting those very, very, very big, and really in the end, just deciding things. Let's give credit where it's due. I agree.
Yeah, and I don't it feels like if I come down hard on this movie, it feels like it's like a wholesale slam the book shut. Don't watch this movie. I will say this. If you're prepared for a frustrating set, like you're prepared for this deserved a better script kind of movie, if you're willing to sit through that for some albeit brief, but very, very well shot horror scenes and very well set up atmosphere for horror, that I think that you'll, at the very least, come away saying, I want to appreciate that. I want to appreciate what a good horror movie could be if it was just given a better script. If it didn't have to be a Ring movie. At the end of the day, I think I'm coming down on this. If it wasn't a Ring movie, I think I'd like this movie. Because the weakest parts were the Ring parts.
I'll go back and say, I wish they had made it more campy. Like, well, it turns out at the end of the film that social media is the means to which the world ends, pretty much, because the video gets, linked to everyone, and they retweet it,
exactly.
It just goes everywhere, kind of like Lawnmower Man at the end of the movie. I am on every phone. Now I'm on every Twitter page. See, I have the right idea going blackout on social media. I think this is a good time to stop.
But no, if the movie decided to be more campy, that was the ending it needed to go with. But
the rest of the movie didn't really meet that. The beginning did.
The beginning did, and the end did. Like, those two sections of the movie feel like they deserve their own cheesy Ring sequel. But like the last half is something altogether different from what was originally intended. I know that for a fact. It could not have been, like, there is no way in goddamn hell that script was written as intended. There's just no way.
So what would the sequel be like? Would it be like the way to defeat her is to give her bad reviews? Give her video bad reviews? Like, dude, that wasn't scary. No, this was really a shitty art film thing. It's like,
just don't pick up the phone.
Or that.
Just don't pick up the
obvious thing.
You just don't pick up the phone.
Oh, and I almost forgot to mention this. This is important. Tails.
Oh.
Remember that? Tails. The beginning of the film, or a little past, about 25% of the way through the film, the big thing here is that everybody who sees the video in this program, or whatever the fuck it is, has to find another person, and that's their tail. They get them to watch the video, and then they have to get someone else to watch the video, and it just keeps going, because if you have somebody else watch the video, if you coerce them into it, you apparently don't die in 7 days.
Yeah.
At least that's the idea. And they fucking stole that from It Follows, another horror film, which is way the fuck better than this piece of shit.
To be fair, we don't know if that was set up in Ring or Ring 2.
The Ring's been out a long time, and I've never heard of that being a plot in the Ring. Maybe I'm just completely unaware.
Completely unaware of it. It could be a very new thing invented just for the Rings movie, just to somehow connect it to, like the last half of the movie. Or it could have been set up in Ring 2, it could have been set up in the original Ring. We don't know. I don't want to make a statement that I don't know for sure about. But on the other hand, hedging our bets, I have a feeling that this was completely new information. I have a feeling.
It's just that the Ring's been out so long, and I don't remember that ever. Even without seeing it, I don't remember that ever. I'll look up the plot, I guess, but I mean, I could be wrong here. But if I'm not wrong, they stole it. Then they did steal it, I think, from It Follows, because that is the whole point of It Follows, is to find somebody else to pass along the curse. I'd rather be talking about that film. It was so good. I mean, for a recent horror film, It Follows was basically there's this monster entity thing that will basically take the form of a person. You don't know who the hell it's going to be, and it follows you until it kills you. It's kind of slow paced. It's one of those kind of like slow paced horror films, like, no jumps, not as many jump scares, but much more looming. And the idea was, if you, God, I don't remember how it was passed along in the first place, but you have to have sex with someone in order to pass.
So it's like an STD.
It's like it's like an STD.
So,
it's kind of neat.
Yeah, it is.
And so it's like, okay, we gotta fuck, and it's gonna start following you, and then you gotta fuck somebody else. You fuck her.
She will fuck him. He will fuck me. I've been doing this fucking thing for a long time, so don't fuck it up.
Wait, but we're supposed to fuck it up.
Ah! And that's
But
when his
yeah.
head explodes like scanners.
Oh, the snake eating the tail imagery, I guess.
Oh,
That's the whole alluding to the tail thing again, right?
Yeah, the Ouroboros or Ouroboros?
Ouroboros? Or
Ouroboros. Like, I remember looking up the correct pronunciation, like the actual Greek pronunciation, and it was something like Ouroboros.
Ouroboros.
Ouroboros?
Or Ouroboros. I don't know.
Ourobos, so it'd be Ouroboros. But, again, I don't speak Greek, so, again, dumb American accent. But I guess I have to, like I said, I have to come down on this movie for being a failure. I mean, from an audience perspective, this movie did not work, despite the director's best efforts. And I will not let his efforts go to waste, and I will commend him for what he did and what he tried to do. Because I think at the end of the day, he embodies what I always said. No movie has the right to
Being
suck.
lazy, I know. That's
No
right.
movie has the right to suck, and he tried his best to make that movie not suck. So, you, my friend,
Too bad he wasn't on Resident Evil.
I don't think that movie would have been made if it was anyone else besides not Paul F. Tompkins, I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson. But no, Paul W.S. Anderson. There's too many Paul Andersons in this fucking business. There's Paul T. Anderson, there's Paul W.S. Anderson, and for some reason I always put in Wes Anderson in that same vein.
Yeah.
Either way, point being, this was a movie that did not work, but I appreciate the director's efforts and I appreciate Vincent D'Onofrio.
Vincent D'Onofrio is
D'Onofrio.
an
I always.
I have enough mistakes, and I relish the moments
D'Onofrio,
I get to correct
D'Onofrio,
you.
yeah, D'Onofrio. My one time I'm dyslexic. It comes with that guy's name.
Mm-hmm.
I assure you, the one time I'm dyslexic.
Yeah.
Yeah, any closing statements?
Go see 13th Floor or It Follows.
And Daredevil Season 1.
Yeah, that too.
Next week, we're going to have a very, very special event.
Oh, yeah.
Since 3 movies are coming out this week that we all can't miss, we're going to have a triple feature. That's right, there will be 3 different stage verses
Yeah.
for the Lego Batman movie, John Wick 2, and 50 Shades Darker.
Oh.
This is what we like to call in the business a shit
It's
sandwich.
not a shit sandwich, because...
Yeah, because Lego Batman looks good, John Wick 2 looks good, but in the between that is the shit.
Wait, I thought it was one and then the other and then the shit.
No.
Wait, is the shit actually going to be the second film?
The shit might be the second film, depending on how the schedule winds up.
'Cause in order to be a shit sandwich, the shit has to be in between the 2 good films.
Like, if we have to look at the movie start times and we have to, like, coordinate effectively...
We'll try to do that.
Yeah, because if we have to start off with 50 Shades, which actually might be... it'll be... Again, we'll just have to go by what the theaters...
In any case, we can review it as a shit sandwich. We can do the good one and then... To mix things up.
Yeah. And who knows, John Wick 2 might wind up being, disappointing, but...
Or maybe 50 Shades Blacker will actually be a
Darker.
darker, whatever, because there was a...
No, please, do not let there be a 50 Shades Blacker sequel.
What was the... 50 Shades of Black, that's what it was.
50 Shades of...
50 Shades of Blacker. Yeah, that
50 Shades of Bigger and Blacker.
that thing that happened. Because of course it was going to happen, right? But, yeah, it turns out this is a great film. Like, the guy who did this one got on it and made it not suck as bad. Like, it was a terrible script, but he had great cinematography.
Like, that guy knows how to direct a scene.
And it was really, really blue.
Till next time...